Hello, I'm Michael Hall with Hall Logic. Years ago, my team and I were inventing a new weight distribution hitch. As development progressed, we bought 12 popular hitches to benchmark on the road and in the lab. We eventually developed the world's first test to quantify hitch friction. So, a bit of background here. Many weight distribution hitches claim to control sway. Some people even call these sway bars. Not to be confused with sway bars used on vehicle suspensions that limit how far the vehicle rolls while cornering. Weight distribution hitches have parts that slide and pivot as the trailer articulates, creating resistance to the trailer's movement side to side. The idea is that if the disturbance, like a gust of wind, pushes the trailer to the side, the friction from the hitch will resist this and get the trailer settled down quickly. Some hitches advertise features to enhance this effect, like 2-point or 4-point friction. We purchased all the popular brands: 2 Equalizer, 2 Blue Ox, 2 Waysafe, 1 Anderson, 1 Husky, 1 Kurt, 1 Reese, 1 Ease Lift, and even a Kurt bolt-on sway device. Next, to isolate the hitch, we designed a test rig to get the trailer floating on a cushion of air. We used a smooth floor that was totally level and load cells that would measure down to the fractions of a pound. The load was measured while the actuator pushed the trailer back and forth. As the trailer swung back and forth, the hitches would pop, grind, and screech as the trailer swayed. We also tested some of the hitches greased and rusted to be sure we understood what happened to friction over the life of the hitch. Finally, we compiled the measurements for the data logger and had our results. Friction measurements were between 5 and 13 pounds. We entered these results into our trailer stability model and found that the hitch friction improved stability by less than 5%. At this point, I was dumbfounded. The effect of these sway bars on trailer sway was negligible. Even the dedicated bolt-on sway bar effect had little effect. I thought, how on earth has this myth been perpetuated over the decades? Well, after recovering from the fact that I had just spent months of my team's resources and tens of thousands of dollars to measure something that didn't matter, I adjusted my perspective and started seeing things in a new way. I should have known something was fishy the first time I gave the trailer a little shove and saw that it just kept moving. The forces that act on the trailer, like wind gusts or cornering from pulling the steering wheel, are hundreds to thousands of pounds. 10 pounds of friction is not going to slow down the oscillations of a big trailer. So, what factors actually do affect trailer stability? We began varying parameters in our models and testing to figure this out. 2 variables stood out as having the largest effect on trailer stability. First is trailer pivot point. Bumper tow trailers have the pivot point at the very back of the vehicle. When the trailer starts to sway, it's kind of like the tail wagging the dog. The trailer pushes the tail of the tow vehicle, causing it to turn, which reinforces the sway and makes things worse. If you could move the trailer pivot point all the way forward to the center of the vehicle, the sway of the trailer would have little effect on the lead vehicle. So, the further forward the pivot is, the more stable the system. And this is why fifth-wheel trailers with the pivot in the bed are stable. Next, the second big factor, and really perhaps the most important, is trailer balance. A trailer with the majority of its weight in front of the axle is stable. A trailer that is tail-heavy is unstable. When weight is in front of the axle, there will be positive tongue weight. And this is why manufacturers recommend that tongue weight be between 10 to 15% of trailer weight. You've probably seen these models of model cars on a treadmill. When the weight is placed behind the trailer axle, the oscillations grow. When the weight is in front of the axle, the oscillations shrink. Another way to experience this phenomenon yourself is to observe the stability of a shopping cart. A shopping cart is like a trailer. It has one fixed axle. The casters in front can be ignored because they don't do anything directionally. When pushing the cart forward, the weight is in front of the fixed axle. When I let go, it will keep tracking forward. Even when being disturbed by bumps, it's stable. If I turn the cart around and push it backwards, now the weight is behind the fixed axle. When I let the car go this time, disturbances from bumps are amplified by the system, causing it to come around and flip over. It's unstable. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, if weight distribution hitches don't control sway, what are they good for? Why not just use airbags to level out the tow vehicle? Well, let's look at what happens to tow vehicle axle loads when we attach a trailer. The vehicle acts like a teeter-totter, with the rear axle adding lots of weight and the front axle getting light. If I pump up the rear axle with airbags, I leveled the vehicle but didn't change the loads. Weight distribution hitches restore weight back to the front axle and reduce stress on the rear axle. This is why more and more automakers, including GM, require that weight distribution hitches be used for trailers over 5,000 pounds. It makes it easier on the rear axle and restores load to the front axle for steering. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that my team got into this because we were developing a new weight distribution hitch. A few years back, we joined our project with B&W, which had also been working on a weight distribution hitch. It's been a pleasure working with Joe Works, inventor of the turnover ball, and his team of professionals at B&W in Kansas. Our efforts resulted in the recent release of B&W's Continuum hitch. Continuum uses light flex technology by Hendrickson composite load bars. Hendrickson pioneered this material for Corvette years ago and uses it in heavy-duty vehicle suspensions. The composite load bars are as strong as steel, but 5 times as compliant. This means that weight distribution is maintained in an even range, even when going over hills and dips. For example, it won't break your trailer frame like stiff steel weight distribution hitch will on the rough roads of Alaska. This high compliance also allows for one set of load bars to work across a large range, from 600 to 1,600 pounds tongue weight. Other hitches allow for just a narrow range. Continuum uses a direct-acting hydraulic cylinder. This helps make hooking up easy, less than half the time as competitors. The pressure gauge allows you to dial in the weight distribution. No chain links, L brackets, or washers to adjust. Also, Continuum is the only weight distribution system that can be connected and disconnected from one side. No need to jump over the coupler or walk around the vehicle. And in case you're wondering, we did also measure the friction of Continuum. Despite its grease zerks and whisper quiet operation, it has the same 13 pounds of friction that Equalizer does. So if I haven't been able to convince you to leave the religion of friction-based sway control, take comfort that Continuum still has you covered. Thanks for watching. At HauLogic, we developed innovative solutions for towing and automotive applications. We don't create much content, but we hope to do more of this in the future, bringing some good science into the towing space.